We have spawning in the left-hand side here as our yellow Protoss, we have Horror Toss. And on the right side, as our white Zerg, Jerry K97. Now, Horror Toss, I don't know. I think there's a decent chance that is the player Horror. I think I believe his flag was German, and Horror was a A- level German Protoss from back in the pre-StarCraft 2 days, back in the old iCup days, played in the TSLs and such things. Now, I'm not 100% positive, but I think it's a probability. So most likely an old school Protoss here, and Jerry K97, I'm afraid I don't know anything about him. So we'll just be watching his play to see how he looks today. Obviously that Overlord is going to head in the incorrect direction straight away. Probe throwing down a pylon here. Looks like we'll probably see a forge and a gate, I would guess, although that is an interesting pylon placement. Because a forge there and a gate there will still leave a decent amount of space open at the top of that wall. And second probe does come out here for Horror Toss. We got a spawning pool here for Jerry. And he is just going to forge. Okay, so is this going to be forge and gate? But I guess that's the best you're going to do. Possibly you could go pylon, forge, gateway. That's another option. So this wall will have a decent size opening, and we'll see if Jerry K scouts that and decides to do anything in regards to that large wall size or not. We have a drone going out here, one to scout and one presumably to build the hatchery. Oh, the German Horror was a Terran player. Really? I could have sworn he was Protoss, but I could be remembering wrong. And he's going to come in and he's going to see no hatchery, but the probe does not notice the drone, so gets the hatchery down, no problems, wanted to come into the main and immediately confirm what's going on. So we'll see that cannon getting dropped here. Getting a little damage off on the probe. And starting just a single pair of lings. So not going to spend any early economy on the Zerglings here, just going to go straight into the drones. And then we'll see, will he take gas or will he open up more standard and just grab a third base somewhere? There is a drone out on the map, so it looks like it's going to be a third base over here. And he is going to take the high ground. Well, they're both high ground thirds, but this is a more chokier high ground third. So it'll be a little bit easier to defend in that regards. But in terms of early rushes, especially with slots, they can just get up the ramp quite easily. There will be a little bit greater travel distance, particularly if he goes Hydra and is trying to defend any early Zealot pressure with his Hydra. But of course, we have no idea what sort of build he's looking for here. We've got the gateway going up for Horror. And of course, gas, so things looking pretty normal here. Horror just kind of walking around with that probe. And mostly economy right now here for Jerry. Let's see what he does with that first 100 gas. I have a feeling it's going to be lair. So far it looks pretty normal. Let's see if we get that. What did he morph the lair down here? Yes, he did. Alright, so the probe in the main. So he's going to morph the lair further away. That's going to make Horror a little less certain of what's going on. He will be at least a little bit, should be at least a little bit concerned that it could have been speed first. We'll see. It looks like he's already got another probe on the map, though, so nice heads-up play here from Horror Toss. And that'll allow him to at least see that there is this layer morphing and that more lings haven't been made. He won't need to react with an extra cannon or be prepared to block from a bunch of lings. Let's see. You're going to build something? No? You're just popping out? Just popping out. We got the core coming down here. Looks like it'll be reasonable timing. Of course, the Stargate never going to be quite as fast off of an overpool, or not, yeah, against opening against overpool. You're going to get that first cannon. Things are just going to proceed a little bit more slowly. We've got Ling speed now. Horror Toss, aka is Master Ray. Red informing me, or Red T45 informing me that he is indeed a member of Clan Red. So we are going to grab that second cannon. He doesn't need a probe down here to block. He actually doesn't need a probe here to block either. So these are some very awkward blocking probes. They're like blocking things that aren't needing to be blocked. But I don't think Jerry's going to try anything here. There's a second cannon morph. There's only 6 lings. There's 2 zealots out. Horror obviously taking this very seriously, though. Does not want to suffer a loss to any bullshit. We've got the Stargate on the way. We should see a Citadel somewhere soon. Definitely has enough gas to do it. I guess we're just waiting on the minerals. But he's got his +1 going, so yeah, that definitely means we'll see a Citadel second gas taken here for Horror. We should see the Spire on the way. We've got the 4th hatch. Should have the 5th hatch, and then we'll have a Den perhaps, and the Evo Chamber. So this is going to be a pretty standard, pretty typical looking macro game here from Jerry. And we'll just see how he wants to play it. Is he going to go for reasonably fast lurkers? Is he going to make a bunch of Hydra and try to bust? Various options here. The choke isn't too narrow. It's not a super strong lurker map. It's not bad, but it's not Eye of the Storm. It's not Coliseum. It's not Sniper Ridge. It's not one of those maps where going super fast lurks is like incredibly incentivized. And another probe in for Horror, so props for this scouting here. That is pretty damn good. If you guys are Protoss, pay attention to how he's done this. Take a look at this game and notice how he's kept probes on the map. He's constantly snuck them in. He's known exactly what Zerg is doing, and that's one of the biggest challenges for Protoss in navigating sort of the early game, is just figuring out what Zerg is doing. There's a lot of builds that Zerg can do, a lot of little all-ins or tech paths that can really give you some trouble if you can't scout them or see them in time. And the Zealots are going to come in, and actually he has decided to pop a few Muta here, I think just to deal with this, because this is a very recent second gas, so the Muta numbers are not going to be that high for Jerry. But he did want the Mutas to go ahead and get rid of these Zealots, and of course cleans those up right away. Now we saw, of course, that Horror was going Stargate. Now not with a +1 on the Sayers, but does have the Stargate. He's actually gotten 2 cannons in the main, which is probably a little bit more than he wanted, although perhaps there will be a little bit more of a dedicated focus on Muta, but we'll see. It looks like maybe not. I think he just made those 5 or 6 Muta and a few Scourge, primarily to deal with that Zealot threat, and then he's just gonna stay on that, not look for any major damage. I mean, he'll come in here and take a look, but with 2 Corsairs, double cannons, maybe he'll go for a Scourge snipe, try to contest air control, but not looking for any serious damage here, and Horatoss has already invested more than enough in the defense. And hey, thank you for following Villeroy. You are my 800th follower, so thank you for getting me to 800. And that's kind of scary, because that means I'm only 200 away from having to stream for 30 straight hours, which will be very terrifying. Oh, we're going to go armor, okay. So an interesting deviation here, unless there's a second forge that I missed, which there is not. So he's going to go for armor before the attack. Now, is there a carapace upgrade going for Zerg, or is it going to be missiles? It's probably missiles. Okay, so carapace will be reasonably delayed. And fairly good supply for Zerg, although it's not all that uncommon for a Zerg playing 5-hatch to keep up with Protoss reasonably well in supply. And a lot of this also kind of shows the fact that Horror's built all these extra cannons. He didn't really have to have this cannon, that cannon. He's had to build these 2 extra cannons, etc., to deal with the Mutas, and that, of course, has slowed him down just a little bit. I'm not going to say it was an overreaction, because you do need cannons. I mean, if you're not taking it seriously and they make 5 Muta and they pop a few pairs of Scourge and fly in and you're not ready for it and don't have cannons, well, then you suffer some pretty big losses. So Jerry's out there. He's got his 5 Corsairs out. That's kind of the magic number to start to be able to vaporize Scourge. Now 5 isn't ridiculous. Scourge coming in from various angles will easily clean up your Corsairs if you're not careful. However, it's enough to deal with some Scourge head-on. Now if you have 7 or 8 Corsairs, especially with +1, then it almost doesn't matter. You can almost just A-move your Corsairs around the map. I'm trying to tell if he's got these Corsairs stacked. He might not, which is a little bit unfortunate. No, he doesn't. And so this is one thing I would say, guys, if you are using Corsairs, you should almost always go and trap a probe behind the minerals so that you can stack your Corsairs, because when they get spread out like this, the splash isn't as concentrated and they can be easily targeted down. We've got a little bit of micro going on over here against these Hydra, and Horatoss bleeding a few Zealots unnecessarily here to these Hydra, and there's actually only 1 High Templar out on the map right now that looks like it might have just spawned. Might not be enough energy for Storm to Overlord is cleaned up, though, by the Sayers, and so this will allow the DT to start doing some work on the Hydras, but will it be enough to push them back? A second Overlord coming in here trying to snipe the DT. Corsairs being put to use here, but the Hydras are going to target fire the cannons, at least denying those. Horror might have gotten the cancels on them, and it looks like the DT is eventually going to be enough to drive the Hydra back, at least for the moment, but now more Overlords are being pulled, and a lot of Hydra coming in here. And I think Ro32 has misjudged this, thinking he could take a third base here against the powering Zerg, and yeah, that's going to have to get canceled, and that's going to be a decent loss for Ro32 here. Now, he does get down a Storm. He's trying very hard to save this, but it's not going to happen. Now, fortunately for him, his Templar does not get sniped, and we can see he was trying to take this off of 4 gateways, which to me is a very odd choice. I'm not exactly sure why he thought he could do that, and it looks like he's just going to lose as a result of it. More than enough Hydra at the cannon. There's not a Storm here, and that's going to be it. Ro32, in kind of a bizarre path of decision-making and a bizarre decisions from Ro32 to try to expand like that. I don't know if he thought he could just completely kill the Overlords, thought there wasn't going to be Overlord speed. That's an amazing Storm, but it's probably not going to make a difference, and Ro32 says GG. But yeah, if you're playing against a 5-hatch Hydra build and you just try to take an expansion off of 4 gateways, that usually doesn't go very well. And even more so when you only have 4 Templar, or only have 1 Templar and didn't even make more in his gateways. You know, if he would have been back there with 3 more Templars, he probably wouldn't have died. But with just 1 Templar, I don't know, that was some odd decision making. Pretty much just gave the game over there to Jerry quite comfortably. And so that will take us into our winners match. So I guess we had 3 players show up, because now we're going to have Jerry versus Llama Zerg. So that means we had 1 confirmed no-show for sure, which looks like Mystique did not show. Llama Zerg must have gotten the free win over Mystique. And thank you for following, Aru. So let's see what happens here. We're going to have a ZVZ between Jerry and Llama Zerg. So here we go, spawning in the bottom right-hand position of the map. As our Teal Zerg, we have Jerry K97, and in the top right-hand corner, as the Brown Zerg, we have Llama Zerg, who I also don't know anything about, other than he has kind of a funny name. I don't know who he is. I don't know if this is an AK for somebody else. Probably not, but you never know. We'll just have to see how the ZVZ is. Jerry K looked reasonably good. And Ro32, I don't know, he was looking okay for a while. He was scouting very well. I was very impressed with his scouting. It was kind of odd they did all that scouting, knew exactly what Zerg was doing, and then tried to expand off of 2 cannons, 4 gates, and a Templar. It just basically cost him the game. So the decision making in the end was a bit off. Hey Zero, how's it going, man? Going all right for me. I'm here casting BSL. Doesn't get too much better than that. All right, so we're gonna have Overlords obviously headed to the same base, following the traditional scouting path of going towards the closest natural. And ZVZ, there's almost no reason not to do that unless you're really just trying to throw your opponent off in some sort of bizarre way. So they will soon see each other, and they will know exactly where to head, which means that if either player is going for fast links, and we do have a overpool here from Llama Zerg, and we don't have that from Jerry, but Jerry does put down a pool, so that's good. I was going to say, if Jerry had gone straight to 12-hatch, overpool, not usually as dangerous. He usually can hold it, but definitely the Lings could have come right down for Llama Zerg and put a little bit of pressure on this, had this been a 12-hatch, put a little bit of pressure on this building hatchery. But with it being 12 pool, the Lings should be out in a reasonable time. And at least from a not dying to Ling standpoint, this should be okay for Jerry. Should see a drone going out now to make our hatchery. Now, did we go for speed first, or are we going to go layer first here from Llama Zerg? Wait and find. Oh, he's taking some off gas. He took 1 off gas. That's interesting. And he's going to go speed first, so he definitely wants to pressure with this. Lings are out. But the Lings will be starting here, although Okay, never mind. His third larva does pop at the right time. So down come the lings here for Lamazurg. And let's see here. They will be out, but there will be a window for sure of ling speed. Although it'll be short here for Lamazurg, where there will be ling speed versus no ling speed. So positioning here is going to be very important. Now Jerry's lings are out. He's bringing a drone with this, and he's definitely not going to make it down the ramp. So let's see, this initial engagement could make or break this game, but for the moment, Lamazurg's just going to back off Jerry with the drones off the line here, defending. He's got the drones nicely out in front, going to presumably try to pull them if the lings go for drone targeting. And he just needs to buy time for that hatch. Until then, advantage will go to Lamazurg in terms of both ling count and mobility. But once the hatch finishes and a few lings get out, he'll be fine. Now, it doesn't look so far like Lamazurg has been able to get any damage done, except now we see him grab a drone. Nice. To grab that, and he starts with a better arc, so this fight starts well for Lamazurg, but then the arc much better for Jerry, and I think Jerry will defend here, especially with the drone DPS. Now starts up his next round of lings from both hatcheries. Hopefully his production is humming away in the main, but the lings from Lamazurg using that mobility speed should be kicking in soon here for Jerry. Oh, he wanted that drone, but he couldn't get it. There's a small ling advantage here, and this time the arc is a bit better for Lamazurg, who's still trying to get that damage done, but now we have lings starting to pop, but Lamazurg snipes those as they pop out, stays in fights, but there are enough lings here, and now there's another moment where it switches back. Small ling advantage here for Lamazurg, but Jerry is going to be okay, and it looks like Lamazurg is going to pull back at this point. Doesn't want to overcommit. Spire on the way, Lair on the way here for Jerry, and well held. He did lose a drone in that though, or did he lose two? So actually, economy-wise, little bit hurt, but still clearly two drones ahead. They both have 3 on gas as far as I can tell. No, actually still just 2 on gas for Jerry, and just 1 on gas for Jerry. So I guess drone count would be 9 versus 8. So one drone up for Jerry here. But there are 2 hatches, double larva production here. And Lamazurg just going to defend there at the top of the ramp. Spire coming up here. Not a huge gas bank, obviously, for either player. Now let's see if Jerry's going to put more drones on gas, because he's going to have a very late Spire. There's no doubt that he's going to have to spore up at this point. So that's going to cost him a few drones here. And he is making drones with the natural. He's going to need to. Now, will he just go for a ling bust? No, he's making a lot of drones. Whoa! All right, just popping like 6 drones here, going for the super eco. We've got Lamazurg getting a double creep colony. Wow, he's really afraid of these lings. Despite having an overlord in the base, he's probably going to cancel one of these now, I hope. Maybe not. Well, his economy is going to be really bad, and Lamazurg... Oh, okay, does cancel that one. He's like, okay, this guy just made drones. I can just chill. Evo Chamber only just now starting. No creeps down yet, which is a little bit interesting. Now, do we have mutas on the way? No, he's actually just making lings right now. Wants to be safe. He does have enough money to make mutas, but he's not making them. So that has bought Jerry quite a lot of time here, and that's going to allow him to be rather defended up. I don't think he's going to be in too much trouble, and he's going to have a vastly superior economy. This is a spore, though, so possibly there are enough lings here from Lamazurg, but what is being made? Okay, we do have this, and double spores here. Now, if he comes in and picks off a spore, that could work out well for him, but let's see how he decides to play this. He's looking here for this top angle, and it looks like the initial engagement, well, it was a better arc for Lamazurg, but the lings didn't come in very well, and I think there's just enough here from Jerry to comfortably defend this. So Lamazurg committing to these lings, not getting damage. That means his drone saturation at home is absolutely horrible, and this game just going downhill for Lamazurg. Gets nothing out of it. He's got 7 drones at home. He has not made muta, so Jerry now at a massive advantage. Even going to lose this overlord here, and Lamazurg just says GG. I guess he hoped he could surprise him with Zerglings and try to pick off a spore or 2, but the idea did not work out. And so that one goes pretty quickly to Lamazurg. And then, well, as far as this group goes, that was the winner's match, and I don't see a loser's match. It seems like we would need a Lamazurg versus Master Ray. Seems like we would need a Lamazurg versus Master Ray, but it's not here. So I guess one of them just pieced out. Although I do not know who advanced. So that's all from Group G, pretty lean group. And then going into Group H, also looks like a pretty lean group. We have Adele Scott versus Favorite as our winners match, which tells us that Goku and Bandy presumably no-showed. So we have Adele Scott versus Favorite. So we'll go into that. But that might be all we have for the entire cast today. It might just be a 40-minute BSL cast. Alright, so in the top right-hand corner, as the red Zerg, we have Adele Scott. And in our bottom leftish corner, as the purple Protoss, we have IRK's Favorite. Llama Zerg forfeited, says Hatchet. And then Hatchet, if you want to give me the details on this group here, do we have, I guess, 2 no-shows? And we're just playing the winners match even though both are going to advance? Or did a replay not get submitted, or what do we have going on? Presumably this is the winners match, but both of these guys are going to advance. Since there are no other games, it looks like 2 walkovers. Alright, so we got probe popping out, probes popping out. Wow, what a surprise. They're both making probes. They're not going to make a 5 pylon. Who would have ever guessed that would happen? Alright, so pylons for both on 8 in base. No shenanigans. Favorite, a reasonable Protoss, I want to say he... Oh yeah, for C, that's a good point. So there's actually some significance to the game. It's not completely pointless. So yeah, Favorite, a good solid. I want to say B-level Protoss, IC Cup back then. Adele Scott, kind of similar range. Obviously, I don't think either of these players like hit that A- strong level. But both decent players. I know Adele Scott has been around for a while, does some streaming, etc., etc. Favorite, I don't actually know if Favorite streams that much. I'm not positive on him. But we do have this probe coming in here after Gateway, and it looks like Adele's going to opt for a much later scout, maybe a core scout, or even later. PvP, one of those matchups, you don't really have to scout that fast. He's actually going to go for pylon first. It's a very early second, very early second pylon. So he's presumably going slot first. Yes, indeed. So we're going to have some harassment-oriented play here from Adele Scott. Going to put 2 on gas to start with. Doesn't need to put a ton on gas right away, simply because he's not rushing out that core. Is he going to go ZZ core? Double slot core? That's going to be a very delayed core. Definitely going to be sacrificing Dragoons for slots at this point. No, he will get the core before that second slot. First slot out, and surprisingly, chasing the probe around. But I was going to say, in PvP, it's usually not all that necessary to scout super fast. Like, you definitely don't need to scout after pylon. You don't even really have to scout after gateway unless you just want to be in their base with your probe to be annoying, because Protoss players aren't going to show you what they're doing. You know, you're going to see a gateway. You can scout, I guess you can know if it's a 2-gate a little bit sooner, but you can mostly defend things just fine, especially with a ramp, even if you don't know it's coming, you know. And then you save quite a bit in economy. Your builds flow better. You don't have to cut probes, etc., etc. if you scout a bit later. So it's generally not necessary to do a super fast PvP scout. Both players just keeping their probe alive, because like no Protoss is ever gonna like, oh, be like, here's my Robo, well, I'm gonna show you my tech tree, or here's my Citadel, here's my tech tree, and the Dragoon will come out and just kill off your probe. So both players opting to just chase probes. Oh, well, Favorite kind of lost control of his probe there. And we do have double gate from Favorite. Not a surprise to see on a non-ramped map. Pretty common. Does allow for quite a bit more pressure, and obviously if you don't have a ramp, well, it's pretty hard to go up a ramp and defend. So if the Dragoon pressure starts to go well for the 2-gating player, it can spiral very easily into a win or significant advantage, forcing at the minimum quite a few probes to be pulled, and oftentimes resulting in a win. And of course Adele Scott saw that, and he is going to respond in kind with a gateway of his own. Doesn't want to be caught out by any shenanigans. Range is a little bit faster here for Favorite, perhaps not as I would expect. Yeah, and I was going to say, I thought Adele Scott was the SC2 player. And that being confirmed in chat that he is the SC2 player and one of the better French Brood War players as well. And now we have a robotics facility and no robotics facility yet from Favorite, who is going to move out 4 Dragoons here. Oh, well, right when Favorite gets there, he is going to have probably a 1 Dragoon advantage, but he will be down a slot, so a lot of that will come down to the target firing, how well both players can dance around each other's zealots. Delscott moving out, though, perhaps in an inopportune time, but he is going to commit to fighting this fight a little bit. Let's see how the control is. Right now, I like the Dragoon shots that Favorite is getting. They're very good, but he's got to avoid those zealot hits, but he quickly takes out those Dragoons from Adele. Very good target firing, and now this becomes very good for Favorite here. He can just pick off these zealots. Adele needs to back up with this Dragoon. It really shouldn't be here. He better back up now, and Favorite's going to chase after this. Adele, can he get away? No, he shouldn't be able to. Oh, well, Favorite is a little bit worried that suddenly Adele is going to come out with a few more Dragoons, but no question Favorite gets the better of that exchange. Loses 1 Dragoon to kill 2 Zlots and 4 Goons. Wonderful exchange for Favorite there. A very odd decision for Adele to fight there, especially since his control wasn't that crisp, the target firing not that solid, and of course Adele is going to have to go back here and try to use this choke to defend, but this is this 5 Dragoon non-ramp thing, and can Favorite just break him right now? Let's see, how close is he having 2 Dragoons pop out? Not very close. This is the probe pull I was talking about. At the very least, it's going to be disruptive, cost you probes, hurt your economy, so just Favorite getting quite a bit of mileage out of this. Now, he does lose 2 Dragoons, so that does rather halt the aggression for the moment, especially since Adelscott has a few more popping down. Forced to get a 3rd gateway, actually, in response to this. And a Robo on the way. He's got to go for the fast Reaver. Now, he knows he can comfortably Reaver. Doesn't have to go Obs first because he's seen the ranged Dragoons. He's seen the 2 gates from Favorite. You're not going to have range if you're going for DTs. So this Reaver first is very safe and very comfortable for Adelscott. And it's necessary, really, if he wants to get out and defend. And at some point, we'll probably see Reaver from Favorite as well. Otherwise, he would be very susceptible to Adele's attack. Yeah, we see the support bay. Because if he went no Reaver against Adele, who is playing now 3-gate Reaver, it's going to be a pretty aggressive push for Adelscott. And most likely it'll be a push. I doubt he'll just come out and expand, but this is kind of not the best from Adele. He's walking into a wonderful arc, and the Reaver has yet to shoot here, and if Favorite can just get out, oh, well, 1 good Scarab goes down, and this Dragoon takes a lot of shots, so just as Favorite leaves, he actually takes a lot of damage, and Adelscott does regain his natural, but still not too bad for Favorite. He killed a Goon or 2. Yeah, he lost 1 or 2, but that's fine. Adelscott still on extremely low units. 2nd crawl Reaver. No shuttle speed from either player. We have a Reaver on the way. Of course, Favorite well into his Nexus, and actually Adelscott posturing like he's going to take a Nexus, although he's continuing to spend money. I feel like 3-gate into Nexus would be kind of odd, but I guess also attacking is going to be hard because he already lost 2 sets of Dragoons. We're going to put a pylon down. Will he go for another round of Dragoons, or will he Nexus? That's going to pretty much tell us what he intends to do here. I'm expecting him to be aggressive. Yeah, he's adding more Dragoons into these gateways, so he's not going to be nexing anytime soon. So going to be huge economic difference here. Adelscott with the far later Nexus timing. He's already had to pull probes, lost a couple in that first fight, so it's a pretty good position for Favorite, who all he really has to do is defend. And he's got a 2nd Reaver on the way. Adelscott, though, double Reavers in the shuttle, and I don't know if this 2nd Reaver will quite be at the natural in time for the attack. And this Reaver really, Favorite is very disorganized. Like, Favorite still has an advantage. Like, I don't really think Adelscott can make this attack work unless he can get some very good Reaver shots. But with this 2nd Reaver, it's going to be dicey whether or not it's there. And fighting 2 Reavers in a shuttle versus 1 crawl Reaver can definitely be the difference if some good shots can go down here. Let's see if he can get that Reaver target fire down. 1 shot already, very good for Adele, and the 2nd shot coming in here. And with that 2nd Reaver not joining up, it looks like Adele is actually going to be able to make this attack work. So positioning and timing just off for Favorite. The 2nd Reaver is down, and now there's a lot of Dragoons. He can reinforce off of 3 gates, and Adelscott has a very good chance here to do critical damage. Incredible Scarab going off on the probe and chasing the Dragoons back, and it looks like the Nexus is going to fall, and so Adelscott has made this 3-gate Reaver attack work. The disorganization and slightly late Reaver there from Favorite is certainly going to cost him his advantage, and it looks like most likely going to cost him the game. He's actually on 4 gates, going for the Reaver Snipe. Adele Scott, was that a celebration shuttle, or was that just some micro? I don't know, but either way, huge scarabs going off on the probes, and Favorite all but cleaned up here. And it looks like Adele Scott is going to reverse his deficit despite a bit of miss micro early on. The Goon Reaver attack just a little too powerful, and Adele Scott will take that. And actually, I want to go back and see, did Favorite pause his Reaver production? Is that why he lost? Because with 2 Reavers, he should have defended that. But he didn't have 2 Reavers. So he immediately goes into the first Reaver. Now, did he pause? Was it just too late? No, he immediately started the second Reaver. Alright, well, just too late there for him. Maybe shouldn't have gone OBS first? But yeah, and this Reaver possibly needed to just be a little bit further back because Adele Scott was able to go straight forward and immediately target it down. And you can see he tried to reposition it, but just without that second Reaver there was a little too much. The count, the battery, lots of good things there for Favorite, but 2 Reavers against 1, yeah, it's a pretty big difference in the splash damage output. So yeah, I guess that's all for BSL games today. So yeah, Adele Scott gets the highest seed coming out of that group, and so does, and then the low seed goes to Favorite. So Adele Scott and Favorite advance from Group H, and from Group G we have Jerry and Horror Toss moving on. Jerry in the first spot, Horror Toss in the